Hello everyone. Let's look at shlokas 132 and 133 in Lalita Sahasranamam. Annadā vasudā vṛddhā brahmātmaikya svarūpiṇī bṛhatī brahmānī brahmī brahmānandā balipriyā bhāśhārūpā bṛhatsenā bhāvā bhāva vivarjitā sukhārādhyā śubhakarī śobhanā sulabhāgatiḥ. Let's take a look at the meanings of the namas. Annadā. Annam, as we all know, is food. Da means giver. Annadā means one who gives us food. So she is the source of nourishment for everybody. As you all know, we celebrate her as Annapurna. So goddess Annapurna has rice in her hand, and she is also ready with a spatula, a ladle to serve everybody. So in Annapurna Ashtakam, Adi Shankaracharya says, Annapurne Sadapurne Shankara Pranavallabhe Jnana Vairagya Siddhyartham Bhiksham Dehi Cha Parvati. So when you get Annapurna, she is always complete, and when she gives the food, what do we get? Jnanam and Vairagyam. So in our culture, we always are very careful about who we take food from. This is why mother's food is considered to be great, because mother has our best interest in mind and she has full of love. So when we eat food that is served by our mother, then we get well-being. Similarly, when we eat the food that Annapurna serves, then we not just get the nourishment, the bhiksha, she provides that, but at the same time, it also gives jnanam and vairagyam. Jnanam means wisdom, and vairagyam means a level of detachment from everything that is happening. And that is the path to becoming more mature and reaching that state of liberation or transformation. So, Annada as the source of nourishment. And it is also said that when we eat, if we think about this Annapurne, Sadapurne, and think of that food as something that God has blessed us with, that adds to our well-being. Vasudā. Vasu means wealth. It can be anything that's property, house, riches, anything that we can own. Vasudā means she is the source of wealth. Vṛddhā. Vṛddhā means ancient. So vṛddhā is also old. So she is the first thing that existed in the universe, right? When there was nothing, there was just this ultimate reality. That is the Tat. So as the ultimate reality, she came first. That's why we call her Agraganya. Agraganya means she is counted as the first one, or she is the Mula Prakriti. So she is the very first thing. And therefore, because she came first, she is older than anything else in this universe, and therefore she is Vṛddhā, ancient. The other way to look at it is old always includes in it growth. You have to grow old. So in this particular context, just like she gives nourishment for our body, she makes sure that she gives all the wealth. Vṛddhā is also, she gives us growth. That is another way to look at it. Brahmātmaikya svarūpiṇī. Brahma Atma Aikya Svarūpiṇī. Brahma here references the Parabrahmam, which is called as ultimate reality. Atma means the soul, the individual soul. It's also called as Jivatma, which is in every living thing. And that's what makes that thing alive. So if there is no Atma, then that is considered dead. So the Atma is the one that brings a thing into life. So every living thing has a soul. Aikya means union. So svarūpiṇī means embodiment. So she embodies the union of the Parabrahmam and Jivatma. So embodying means representing. So she represents the state where the Parabrahmam and Jivatma have united. So she represents the state where someone has become aware that them and the ultimate reality is one and the same. That means it is the state of liberation. So she represents that. Actually, the Brahma Atma Aikyam, that can be represented by this Mahavakya called Aham Brahmasmi. So it's called as the Anubhava Vakya. So Aham Brahma Asmi means recognizing that I am Brahma. But it is also better represented using a mantra called Hamsa mantra. Hamsa Soham. Aham Saha Saha Aham. So the reason why this is better representing is it clearly outlines the interconnectedness. Aham Brahmasmi means I am that ultimate reality. And it is not that Aham Brahmasmi is something that you recognize in humility. So by just stating Aham Brahmasmi, it could be like I am that ultimate reality. It's not said in a proud way. So the Hamsa mantra clearly states that Aham Saha Saha Aham. I am that and that I am. So that kind of shows the interconnectedness and more the humility. And that's why we also call her as Hamsini. Malini Hamsini, Mata Malayachalavasini. So she is Hamsini as the Hamsa mantra. So brahmātmaikya svarūpiṇī is none other than the Hamsa mantra. There is something beautiful about this Hamsa mantra. Generally, we always say that any mantra somebody has to teach us. It's called as diksha. So always mantras give fruit only when it is taught by a guru. But this Hamsa mantra is very special. It doesn't need to be taught by anybody else. Why is it so? Because this Hamsa mantra is inherent in all of us. So the Hamsa is the sound of our breath. So when we inhale, our breath makes the sound so. When we exhale, the breath makes the sound hum. So all of us, by just breathing in and breathing out, are constantly chanting this Hamsa mantra. Soham Hamsa. That is going on constantly. That's why this particular mantra is called Ajapa Japam. We are not consciously saying it, but our breath is already doing that. And it is said that whenever we consciously focus on the breath, and there are all these techniques, right? Pranayama, etc. So whenever someone consciously focuses on their breath, then the breath starts singing Hamsa Soham. So we take 21,600 breaths a day. And if each breath we are constantly focused on that breath, then that leads to liberation. So there is a very popular shloka called Vinayaka Ragaval. This is written in Tamil. And in the Vinayaka Ragaval, they say, Kundali Adanir Kudiya Asabai. Asabai is the Ajapa mantra, which is nothing but the Hamsa mantra. Kundali Adanir Kudiya Asabai. விண்டெழு மந்திரம் வெளிப்பட உரைத்து மூலாதாரத்தின் மூண்டெழு கனலை காலால் எழுப்பும் கருத்தறிவித்தே. So in there they're saying that there is inherent in the Kundalini is the Ajapa mantra that is already there. It is going on, we are just not aware. விண்டெழு மந்திரம் வெளிப்பட உரைத்து. So when we focus on that Ajapa mantra, then it raises. விண்டெழு means going up. It is raising. And Kalal எழுப்பும் கருத்தறிவித்தே. So using your kal means air or wind. That is actually the breath. So using the breath, being able to raise the Kundalini and making it go all the way up to Sahasrara. As we all know, when Kundalini reaches the Sahasrara, that person is supposed to be liberated. So they become able to let go of their self. They identify their oneness with that ultimate reality, and at that point that person is completely transformed. The moment the self is gone, then they become one with everything. So the Hamsa mantra, brahmātmaikya svarūpiṇī, represents the Hamsa mantra, which is none other than the Ajapa Japam. Bṛhatī. Bṛhat means big. Bṛhatī means great. So you might have all heard of this temple called Brihadishvara temple. Bṛhat Ishvara, big Ishvara. And in Brihadishvara temple, everything is big. The lingam is really big. Even the goddess there is big. So everything about that temple is big. That's why it's called as Brihadishvara. So Bṛhatī means great. Brahmānī. Brahmānī is the energy of the Brahman. So she is the ultimate reality. So in that context, you can also think of it as Brahmānī. She is the ultimate reality. But the ultimate reality, the very first step of the manifestation is that it has two aspects of it. There are two complementary aspects. One is the unmanifest reality, which we refer to as Shiva, and another is the manifest reality, which we refer to as Shakti. So Shakti is the energy of the universe, and therefore she is the energy of the Brahman, and therefore she is Brahmānī. Brahmī. Brahmī means energy of Brahma. So this Brahma is the one who's responsible for creation. So Brahmam and Brahman are two. Brahmam and Brahma are two different things. So Brahmī is the energy of Brahma. So Brahmī is one of the Ashtamatrikas, and energy of Brahma is none other than the Shakti of Brahma is none other than Saraswati. And as we all know, Saraswati is responsible for speech. So as Brahmī, she represents the power of speech, or it is the Vak Shakti. Vak means speech, Vak Shakti. Brahmānandā. So Brahmam here represents the ultimate reality, and Anandam means bliss. So she is the bliss associated with the ultimate reality. With bliss, there is something special. You can never point to the source of bliss. Bliss just is. So if it is joy, it comes from outside. We enjoy something, then we are joyous. It comes from outside. Happiness comes from within. But bliss just is. You can't point to the source. And she is that source of that bliss, and she is that bliss. So Brahmānanda means the bliss of the Brahman. Balipriyā. Bali means strong. Priya means fond of. She's fond of the strong. So who are those strong people? And Bali also means sacrifice. So she's fond of sacrifice. So what does that really mean? So who's really strong? Who are those Bali? Generally, whenever we say the word strong, all of us tend to associate it with physical strength, right? And a person who can go fight with others, conquer everybody, a warrior, a king, those are the kind of images we would get. Whereas in the spiritual path, conquering others is not considered as strength. Actually, conquering our own self is considered as strength. And therefore, Bali is someone who has conquered themselves. And those people are also called as Veeras. So that is the strength, the courage to go conquer yourself, the courage to go cleanse whatever it is that is in your mind, the courage to go beyond and look deep within and transform ourselves. So those are the people who are strong people. Generally, they are the yogins who are on the path, they are in the sadhana. So she's fond of those people. And we also said Bali means sacrifice. So what is the sacrifice? In order to conquer ourselves, the sacrifice that is needed is to give up all the desires, kama, krodha, moha, lobha, mada, matsarya. These are all the vices of the mind, which is anger, desire, attachment, pride, jealousy, and all those delusion. Being able to give up all of those is what will get us to the path of conquering ourselves. And therefore she's fond of people who find the courage to pursue that particular path. So she's balipriyā, fond of the strong. Bhāśhārūpā. Bhāśha means language. Rūpam means form. So she is in the form of language. So if you look at all the things that she's the one who gives our food. She's the one who gives us wealth. She came very first in this entire world, and she represents the union. So there are so many things we are talking about, and quite honestly, all of these are very hard for us to perceive. As normal people who are in the day-to-day routine, these kind of things are beyond our perception, because as human beings, we can easily perceive anything that's within the realm of our senses. So if we can see it, if we can hear it, if we can feel it, we can touch it, taste it, those are the things that actually resonate with us. So as this ultimate reality is beyond our perception, it is very hard for any of us to even make an attempt to go reach her. And therefore, out of mercy for us, she has manifested in the form of a language. And what is the advantage of that language is that with language, things that we don't understand, when we keep looking at it again and again and again, the language then comes within the perception, because it's easy for us to read or hear, and then we are able to process that. Then it gets into our mind, and then we are able to process it, and then slowly the things we didn't understand, we are better able to understand. And then as we keep repeating, then we are able to get to it. So through language, it is possible for us to reach her. And therefore, she understands that we will not be able to get there. And therefore, she has come as language and is allowing us a path to reach her. Bṛhatsenā. Bṛhat means again big, and in this context it is vast. Sena means army. So she has a vast army. And what does that mean? If you connect it with the previous nama, vṛddhā, the big army that she has is all the languages, all the different words, the lot of meanings for those words, the ability to create as many sentences as we can. And those sentences, if you take the language Sanskrit, can be converted into shlokas, and there are so many different shlokas on her. So now here is a vast army. Through language, if we are able to put the idea of her inside us and slowly move towards her, now she has this vast army of words and sentences and shlokas that help us, that help move us towards her. So she has a vast army. Another way to look at it is she is well supported by Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva and all the 33 crore devas, and then there is all these 64 crore yoginis, and all these people together will support the universe, support all the people in the universe. And even though she is ultimate reality, she is capable of doing anything, she does still have this vast army to help run everything, and at the same time make sure that we are blessed with everything that we need. Bhāva, abhava, vivarjitā. Bhavam means something that exists or existent. Abhavam means non-existent. So you can think of it as presence and absence. Vivarjitā means devoid of. So she is devoid of existent and non-existent states. What does that really mean? Because existent and non-existent are opposites, and how can something be devoid of both of those, which is a bit confusing. By virtue of not existent, that means it is not there, so then it cannot be devoid of existent. So it is both of those. So how does that work? And let's look at it with an example. So let's take a rice grain, right? All of us use that to make in arisi in Tamil or biyam in Telugu. So that rice grain exists as rice grain. And when we cook it, it becomes cooked rice, right? At that time it becomes annam or sadam, right? So the sadam state of that rice is nothing but absence of the rice grain, but presence of the cooked rice. So that is the state it is. So the state, the cooked rice represents absence of rice grain and presence of cooked rice. So it is both. It is bhavam and abhavam. Once abhavam becomes the bhavam for the next one. And now somebody eats that rice. So at that point, the cooked rice is not existent anymore, but instead it has become part of the blood and flesh of the person who ate it. So in that particular state, the blood and flesh is the absence of cooked rice, but the presence of blood and flesh. So you can see how the absence of one becomes the presence of another. So that is the constant cycle, and this cycle is applicable for the entire universe. So if you look at it, human beings, let's say we get the food from the plants and trees, right? So the plants and trees grow out of soil and they produce a vegetable or food, rice, everything comes from there. Human beings eat that, and when human beings die, then they become again part of the soil. So it is a cycle. So that cycle is not applicable for her because she is the ultimate reality. As ultimate reality, she is ever present. She is never changing. She is nitya. She is eternal. So there is no change. There is nothing new added to her. There is nothing taken away from her. She is the one constant in this entire universe. So as the one constant, the presence and absence, the cycle of transformation does not apply to her. So she is devoid of existent and non-existent states. Sukhārādhyā. Sukham means easy in this particular context. Sukham is also happiness or joy. You can think of it that way. Ārādhya means worshipped. So Sukhārādhyā in this context means that she is easily worshipped. So when we look at Devi, generally people tend to think that Devi Upasana means that you have to be very strict. You have to follow a lot of rules. You might have to fast. You have to take a head bath. You have to fast. You have to follow all the acharas. And this is general conception there. And yes, there are slokas and there are rituals for Devi that require a certain rigor. But these rigor exists only because it allows our mind to stay focused on the task. The rhythm of those actions, all the things that they're saying, is simply a means to make us focus our mind on the thing at hand. But Devi actually does not look for these kind of rituals. In fact, she is called a samayachara tatpara. The samayachara is something that is internalizing. That is her favorite way in which we reach her. So she does not want any external rituals or anything like that. She only expects that we are internalizing her and then we are praying towards her. So even if you take a look at Lalita Sahasranamam, all the big shlokas, whatever you take it, they start with a dhyanam. The dhyanam is nothing but a way for us to meditate upon or focus our mind upon a certain form. Even in Lalita Sahasranamam, initially it will start with, this is how she looks, her eyes are like this, her nose is like this, her earrings are like this. The whole reason for doing that is that they make it more real for us, because for us, seeing is believing. It's very hard for us to engage with something that we don't see. So they're using words, they're describing something that we can imagine in our mind. And once we imagine, that form becomes real for us, and then what all we are supposed to do is close our eyes, think that that particular form is sitting right in front of us, and then we engage with her through Lalita Sahasranamam. So that is the concept here also. So all she wants is that we are constantly engaged with her. And even if you look at Vishnu Sahasranamam, that's what he says. Tesham nityabhiyuktanam. Nitya abhyuktanam means constantly engaged with me. And how can you be constantly engaged with Lalita? We don't have to worship God just by sitting in front of God. Actually, you can worship anywhere. When we are cooking, we can think about Lalita. When we are working, we take a break, you can think about Lalita. This constant engagement, seeing her in everything, is actually the true sadhana. So she is someone who is sukhārādhyā, who is easily worshipped. Śubhakarī. Shubham means auspicious, mangalam, everything good. So she is śubhakarī, means one who confers happiness or all auspiciousness. She bestows auspiciousness upon all her devotees. Śobhanā sulabhāgatiḥ. Śobhanā again means auspicious. Sulabham means easy. Gati means path or destination. So on the easy path, she still bestows all the auspiciousness. So when we say sukhārādhyā and we are saying she is easily worshipped, some people may think, oh, if I do something easily, will I get the results? And that's where the Vāgdevatas are clearly telling us, śobhanā sulabhāgatiḥ. Even if you follow the easy path, which is constant engagement with her, then she will bestow the fortune. And in fact, that is the path she likes. She doesn't want us to go do rigorous fasting or, people, sometimes they do walking on the fire. Those are all, different ways in which people express themselves. So there is nothing wrong with that. There is simply no wrong way to worship Devi. Every single worship she takes it, but she doesn't require you to do all of that. And therefore, easy path is available to you. That's what this means. With that, we have looked at all the namas. Let's look at a story that's related to brahmātmaikya svarūpiṇī. So the nama brahmātmaikya svarūpiṇī, to recall what we discussed, we said that brahmātmaikya svarūpiṇī means hamsa mantra, hamsa soham, and it is called as ajapa japam. So let's look at a story related to ajapa japam or ajapa natanam. So once Vishnu was praying to Shiva, and Vishnu wanted children. And then Shiva was very pleased with Vishnu's prayers, and Shiva appeared in front of Vishnu, and he appeared along with Uma and Skanda. Skanda is Muruga, who is the son of Shiva and Parvati. So he appeared along with Uma and Skanda. So that particular form of Shiva is called as Somaskanda. Saha Uma Skanda. Therefore, he is called as Somaskanda. And when Somaskanda appeared, Vishnu said that he wanted to have children. Immediately, they all blessed Vishnu, and therefore Vishnu and Lakshmi had Manmada. It's believed that Kama Manmada is the son of Vishnu and Lakshmi. And so Vishnu was very happy that his wish got fulfilled. And at the same time, he was so attached to this form of Somaskanda, and that entire image made him so happy. So he wanted to retain that and always hold it with him. And therefore, Vishnu went ahead and made an idol of Somaskanda, and he carried it with him, and he actually placed it on his chest. So the Somaskanda went on his chest. And then Vishnu went back to Vaikuntham, and then he went off to Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra is like sleep-like state, but it's actually not sleep, but he's doing penance. So he's in deep penance. And the only way you can tell that somebody is in Yoga Nidra is that they're still breathing. Otherwise, for all purposes, they look like they're sleeping. So the Vishnu went off in the Yoga Nidra, and the Somaskanda was on Vishnu's chest. And as Vishnu was breathing in and out, the Shiva on his chest was constantly coordinating with Vishnu's breath. So the Shiva was doing a dance that was coordinated with the breath. There is no ragam, there is no thalam, nothing, but it is perfectly coordinated to the breath, in and out. Right? So hum, so hum. It was coming with that coordination. So Shiva, we all know Shiva is Nataraja, right? So he loves to dance, and he is so popular for his Tandavam, Ananda Tandavam, or sometimes Rudra Tandavam. And here Shiva was doing a dance that was a silent dance without any chanting, and that is called as Ajapa Natanam. So that was going on. And so Somaskanda remained on Vishnu's chest. And time passed, and then once Indra reached out to Vishnu because he was being troubled by a lot of asuras. Always when Indra needs help, he goes to Vishnu because he is the protector of the universe. So then Vishnu went ahead and helped him, but there were constant troubles because of these asuras. So then Vishnu thought that it might be a good idea for Indra to have this Somaskanda and do prayers to Somaskanda, because then all auspiciousness will come his way, and therefore his troubles may go down. Because of that, Vishnu gave the Somaskanda to Indra and said, Indra, you do puja for this particular Somaskanda, you will get all your troubles, all your troubles will go away. So Indra also took Somaskanda, and because it was given by Vishnu, he totally was sincere about it, and Indra used to do all the prayers. Slowly the Indra and Deva's power increased, and they started to also realize that every time they have a problem, they don't have to always run to Vishnu. They started to do all these alliances with sometimes people on the earth as well. So once Indra was being tortured or was being attacked by an asura called Valasura. And so when Valasura attacked and he took over the Devaloka, Indra sought help from a king, a Chola king called Musukunda Chakravarti. So this Musukunda Chakravarti belonged to the Chola dynasty, and he was a very pious king, and he was a very powerful warrior as well. And there is a little bit of flashback for Musukunda Chakravarti. So in the previous birth, Musukunda Chakravarti was actually a monkey in Kailasa. And this monkey used to always sit on top of a tree, and just as monkeys would do, it would keep plucking all the leaves and throwing it down. So monkeys are like that. They tend to pull. That's why we call monkey mind. Mind cannot stay quiet for even a minute. Monkeys also can't stay quiet for even a minute. So it kept plucking the leaves and putting it down. And it so happened that under that tree there was a Shivalingam. And therefore every day the leaves were falling on the Shivalingam. And we all know Shiva, even if you give one leaf, he is very happy. And Palam, even in Bhagavad Gita, they say, Phalam, Patram, whatever you give, they are happy. Only that you have to give it with love. So the monkey was dropping every day. And it just so happened that the monkey was on a tree that was a Bilva tree. It's called Vilvam in Tamil. And praying to Shiva with Vilvam is considered very auspicious. So the monkey every day was doing Vilvarjitā to this lingam. And then one night, it happened to be Mahashivratri, and the monkey was continuing to do that. If you do vivarjitā for Shiva on Mahashivratri, you're bound to get the results. Immediately, Shiva and Parvati appeared in front of the monkey, and they said, we are very pleased by your prayers and all the puja that you did. So ask me whatever boon you want. The monkey was completely stunned. The monkey did not even know that it was doing vivarjitā or praying to Shiva. It was simply sitting there and doing this. And that goes to show, sometimes even if we don't truly intend, if we do good actions, they will always bring good results. And so the monkey was really stunned and never expected to have Shiva and Parvati darshan. So the monkey was really happy, and the monkey said, whatever you give me, I am totally fine, and there is nothing that I specifically want. But there is one thing though I want to ask you. I don't ever want to forget this moment, that where I saw you and Parvati. So always in whatever birth that I take, allow me to have a reminder of this moment, so that I will never forget it. And they immediately granted it, and Shiva said, you will be born as a great king in the earth, and that will be your next birth. And it is said that Musukunda Chakravarti was born with that same monkey face, which was a reminder of the moment that the monkey met Shiva and Parvati. So Musukunda Chakravarti has this kind of a background, and he is a very he's a very pious person, and he's an ardent devotee of Shiva. So Indra went and reached out to Musukunda Chakravarti and asked for his help to fight against Valasura. So Musukunda Chakravarti took a great army, went and fought with Valasura. He was successful, and he was able to recover the Devaloka, and he went and handed it over to Indra. Indra was immensely pleased. What he could not pull off, Musukunda Chakravarti had helped him do that. So then Indra wanted to repay that. He was now in debt, right? Because he got his Indraloka back because of Musukunda Chakravarti. So Indra wanted to give him something. So that way he can at least repay some of it. So Indra told him that, Musukunda, I'm so happy with what you have done, and I'm so thankful to you. So I want to give you something. Ask anything you want, I will give it to you. And Musukunda Chakravarti, even when he was a monkey and Shiva asked, he didn't have anything to ask. And now he's a great king and he has this vast army and everything. There was nothing much he needed. But he is a very devoted person. He is a devotee of Shiva. So he had already seen Indra doing puja to this Somaskanda idol. And therefore Musukunda Chakravarti said, if there is something that you want to give me, then I would love to have the idol that you were worshipping. Now Indra is in a fix. For him, this is a sentiment. Vishnu gave the Somaskanda idol and said, go do puja for this and all your troubles will vanish. And since then, he's been able to rally, get allies, etc. So life has been better for him. And he is also devoted to that Shiva. So he doesn't want to really give that Somaskanda. But now he's also given his word. He said, ask anything. So now he cannot go back on his word. And so Indra thought about it. And so he called his architect, and he had his architect make 6 other idols that look exactly like the Somaskanda idol. And therefore they made that. And the next day he presented all the 7 idols, the original Somaskanda plus the 6 that they made, all the 7 idols. And he showed it to Musukunda and said, pick any one you want. And Musukunda was looking at all the 7, and he went and stood in front of each one. And then when he stood in front of one particular idol out of the 7, he felt amazing, he felt great, and he had this great vibrations, and it was really good for him. And then immediately he pointed to that idol and said, that's the idol I want to pick. And lo and behold, what happened? That was actually the original Somaskanda idol that was on the chest of Vishnu, that was doing the Ajapa Natanam, and that was something that was given by Vishnu to Indra. And Musukunda Chakravarti had correctly pointed to that particular idol and said, that's what I want. And the moment that happened, Indra immediately recognized that he must be an ardent devotee, otherwise he would not have felt those vibrations. And then also he realized that if Vishnu and Shiva did not want him to have that idol, he would not have felt all of this. Therefore it was destined to be his. and immediately Indra gave that idol to Musukunda Chakravarti, and he didn't stop there. He gave all the 6 idols to Musukunda Chakravarti. So together, those 7 idols are called as Sapta Vidanga. Vidanga means something that is not chiseled. So that is something that somebody did not create. It just happened out of one single thing. So the Vishwakarma had created that. So this is called as Sapta Vidanga. And Musukunda Chakravarti brought those Sapta Vidangas and then he installed them. The one that was worshipped by Vishnu and the one that was given to Indra and that was given to Musukunda, that was put in the Tiruvarur. And it is called as Tyagaraja there. So Tiruvarur Tyagaraja, and the remaining 6 were in and around Tiruvarur, Nagapattinam, Karaikal, etc. So together they are called as Sapta Vidangastalam. So today in Tiruvarur we worship that particular idol as Tyagaraja. The primary god in Tiruvarur is called as Valmīkinādhar. So he is Puttidam Kondan. So he came from an anthill, and there is a story associated with that. And the goddess is called as Kamalambika. But Tyagarajar is also in Tiruvarur, and the Kamalambika is the goddess there, and it is also considered as a Shakti Peetam. So there are a few Shivastalas that are very, very auspicious. So if somebody is born in Tiruvarur, then they immediately get mukti. Being born in Tiruvarur guarantees mukti. Dying in Kasi guarantees mukti. Visiting Chidambaram guarantees mukti. And Tiruvannamalai is even more special amidst all of this. Just thinking about Tiruvannamalai grants mukti. So Tiruvarur is one such Shivasthala where Shiva is there as Tyagaraja and the goddess is there as Kamalambika, and she represents the combination of Lakshmi, Saraswati and Parvati. And in front of Kamalambika, there is a very special Akshara Peetam. So there it represents knowledge and wisdom. And so she's called as Kamalambika. And Tiruvarur Tyagaraja temple is one of the biggest temples in Asia. And it has an amazing chariot. In Tamil they say Tiruvarur Theralagu. So it has a Ther is a chariot, and it is an amazing chariot that's pulled by everybody. And this particular Somaskanda is there as Tyagaraja. And just like we say there is Chidambara Rahasyam, there is also a Tiruvarur Rahasyam. Actually, the Somaskanda does not have any Abhishekam or anything. Apparently, they have a separate emerald lingam, and that's what they do Abhishekam for. And after the Abhishekam, they will lock it because emerald is very expensive. And the Somaskanda, you can only see the face of Shiva and Parvati. You won't see the rest. It's always kept covered, and it's covered with flowers. And only on Arudra Darisanam and Panguni Uttram you can see the feet of Somaskanda. So it seems that on Arudra Darisanam we can see Shiva's right foot and Parvati's left foot. And then in Panguni Uttiram, we can see Shiva's left foot and Parvati's right foot. So only during those two particular events, they will allow for that. So there is a Tiruvarur Rahasyam, just like Chidambara Rahasyam. And also, interestingly, the Sangeetha Mummurtigal, Tyagarajar, Shyama Sastri and Muthuswami Dikshidhar, all 3 of them were born in Tiruvarur. So you all must have heard about the Tiruvarur Tyagaraja Aradhane. And it seems that Muthuswami Dikshidhar used to sit in this Kamalambika, that is his Upasana Devata. So he's written many songs on Devi, and there is Kamalambike, there is a song like that. And apparently he used to sit here in the shrine and sing for Kamalambika. And we know how much she loves. She is the Akshara Peetam and she's all about wisdom. And therefore she loves hearing to his song. And apparently she used to sit she used to put one leg over the other and listen to Muthuswami Dikshidhar. And therefore the post that Kamalambika has is a very unique thing. It's not available everywhere else. Here is the only place where you will see Ambal having one leg over the other. It's a yogic posture. So that is something. And the temple is a really big temple, and it has a pond which is called as Kamalalayam that's equally big So the temple and the pond are about the same size, and it's a really huge temple with 9 Rajagopurams. There are like 80 or 90 shrines, and there is a story behind every single thing here. Just like I told you on Valmiki, there is a story for that. And it is also said that in this particular temple, all the planets, the Navagrahas, are in a straight line. They needed help from Shiva, and Shiva gave them that help, but he also said that you're not supposed to trouble any of my devotees, and therefore they're all constantly facing Shiva so that he can check. And there is also a Ganapati who's close by, who's watching whether all these Navagrahas are giving any trouble to Shiva's devotees. And there is also a two Chandikeshwaras. There is a Yama Chandikeshwara, and it is said that there is, we said anybody who's born in Tiruvarur gets mukti, and it is believed that there is a straight path from Valmikinathar's Sannidhi to Swargaloka. And Indra, even after having given the idol to Musukunda Chakravarti, he still comes to pray. It is believed in a certain time he comes to pray. So it is considered very auspicious at that time. So it seems Indra came and closed the path between Valmikinathar's Sannidhi and Swargaloka, because all the people from Tiruvarur were going to Swarga, and then the Swargam was getting very congested. And it's also believed that Yama came to visit this temple because Shiva was absolving everybody's sins and nobody was coming to Naragam. So Yama came to check what happened really. So the story about Tiruvarur, there are so many other things. This is a place that was in the Tevaram. So it's called as Padal Petrasthalam. So that is something that is unique about it. It features in so many Nayanmar story, Sundaramurti Nayanar story, Tiruvarur features, and he is called as Veedi Vidangar here. So he walked through the streets and in order to help Sundaramurti Nayanar. And then there is also another Nayanar called Naminandi Adigalar. So he is one who wanted to light the lamp, and he went and asked in a nearby house without realizing that they were Jains. At that time, Jainism was high and they did not believe in all these gods. And the person laughed at him and said, there is no oil. And if your Shiva is so capable, why don't you take the water from the pond, the Kamalayam, and then light all the lamps? And Naminandi Adigalar was very sad, and he went, but he heard a Asariri which said, go bring the water. And then he poured the water and he was able to light the lamp with the water. So there are so many things about Tiruvarur, and the most important thing that I want to end with is when Tyagaraja Swami is coming out for the procession, what he executes even today is called as Ajapa Nadanam. So that the sound of breath, which is the source of liberation, which liberates everyone when we focus our mind on it. That is the Ajapa Nadanam. Obviously, when they bring, the people who are carrying will execute that dance, but that is the Ajapa Nadanam that is done. And that's how he is demonstrating constantly that brahmātmaikya svarūpiṇī. So what the Hamsa mantra that is being enacted with the Ajapa Nadanam. That's all for today. Thank you.